We watched the minute. We have to now
talk about it. And it's you, I believe.
I believe it is as well. I'm just real quick. Let's just have one more note from that last viewing.
Should I stop this and start?
I don't know. No, I'm good.
Okay.
How do you do? We're about to unfold the story of
The Son of Frankenstein.
This one is probably just as bad as his father.
Good morning, son.
Well, hello.
my son. You have inherited the fortune of the Frankensteins. I trust you will not inherit their fate.
By heaven, I think you're a worse fiend than your father. What are you going to do about it? There's a monster up and you know it.
Well, we've warned you.
You've been warned. Welcome back to Frankenstein Minute, the podcast where we dissect the Universal Frankenstein film series minute by minute. I'm Bill Evenson.
And I'm Tom Lang, and you join us for minute 73 of 1939's Son of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And for once, 73 minutes into the film,
Uh-oh.
Wolf actually for once acknowledges another human being's feelings.
Yeah.
And he's genuinely concerned and comforting. The
Yep.
only time so far that he's acted this way.
Yes. I'm delighted to hear you say so. I completely agree. However, it's tainted a bit by the fact that he's also really leaning into the lie. He's still lying
He is, definitely. I
through
agree.
everything.
I agree, but he's actually acknowledging that she's not happy.
Yeah.
Normally he's
It's
just...
touching. It's legitimately touching.
actually-
He is legitimately concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gets a little melodramatic towards the end, but I'll accept it. It's a Frankenstein film. I'll take
Yeah.
some melodrama. That's fine.
Yeah. Well,
Is this place getting on your nerves?
That's what I was doing. I believe the term is gaslighting, but I don't know if it's exactly right here.
yeah,
but when he
to
says, "Is this place
to a
getting on your
degree."
nerves?"
Yeah,
he's turning it around on her and saying, "Oh, sweetie, I love you and I'm very concerned about you. Is this place getting on your nerves?" And the answer is, "No, fuck you, Wolf.
Yeah.
This is all your fault." And that's why I think it makes it kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
gaslighting.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree, but I think she at least appears to take some comfort in it. You
Yeah.
know, she seems like, I'll be all right.
Yeah,
or maybe
did
she just had it with his bullshit.
Well, no, I
don't think
it's
that's
the
the
first
case.
one,
I
and I
don't-
think
yeah.
it is true that lying to someone can be helpful sometimes. Overall, it's a terrible idea. He is doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
But at that moment, that particular
That
lie
probably is what she needs to hear.
Well, what really should happen, I guess what I'm saying is what really should happen is he should come clean. He should say, "You know what? You're right.
You're right. This is fucked up.
I got mixed up
I'm
in
way
something.
over my head.
I fell in love with Igor, and I was
And-
enchanted, and he convinced me to turn Frankenstein, to turn up the Frankenstein.
Turn up the Frankenstein.
He had a Frankenstein that was broken.
Pump up the Frankenstein.
We have our episode title.
Pump up
the Frankenstein.
And I love...
There's no way you can't use that. That is going to be perfect.
All right.
All right.
I love her reaction is I hate it here.
That's the next thing I had. I hate it here, Wolf. She is no nonsense.
Nope.
She's great.
Throughout, I know we've talked about how much we like her.
Yeah.
You know, the one regret is that she doesn't have a lot to do.
Yeah.
When she has those moments. We've said a few times really early on that oftentimes she'll bring it back on track when the film has gotten off its rails a little bit. And I think here's a perfect example of
absolutely. And I always thought of a future scene that hasn't happened yet. But here it happens all right here. She's doing that, exactly what you're saying right here.
Mm-hmm.
She's derailed Wolf's, almost rant
Yes.
about the drunken
Benson.
The guy's he's a fucking lunatic.
He's out a whoring and...
Yeah. Well, maybe we got a whore there. You never know.
You never know.
Some men like that sort of thing.
He does.
Not
like
me, of course. Ho, ho, ho!
He does like having his face set upon. That
sounds like Benson.
Yeah,
it really does.
Absolutely.
Maybe he went to get his face set upon there. But Benson doesn't eat pussy.
Oh, well, maybe he does
sometimes.
Jesus Christ. Are we even banned from every platform
yeah,
yet?
I think this is it. This is
okay.
Welcome to the last episode. When did she start hating it here?
The second she walked in the door.
No, I completely agree. I feel like she was fairly chipper about things before these murders.
Well, she tried, but she was apprehensive from the get-go when they walk in.
That's true.
She has that look like, oh. oh, this isn't what I was expecting at all.
Yeah.
And throughout, she's been kind of like, well, I'm afraid of this, and the doorbell scares, or the knocker scares the shit out of me, and
I've been
I haven't left the place at all. And
not going outside is probably bad. Yeah.
So I think she's had this attitude all along. This is the most overtly she's expressed it. Is I
she's
hate
about
this fucking place.
Yes, absolutely. And she's about to say too.
Yeah, I'm terribly afraid all the time.
Yeah, that's
true.
The
rest of the line.
I have that as well. Actually, I have the stupidest thing to say about that, which is I mentioned to Jackie that she was in North by Northwest, so we watched the scene from North by Northwest, and then we went back to watching
Laura's Mercedes.
So,
no, I didn't take Laura's Mercedes.
It's fucking perfect.
It's great.
It's really, really great. That
one
movie.
more reason to love Cary
Grant. That's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, it is.
But
and Barsky doesn't like it.
I don't know. I don't know what to do with people. But so we'd be watching it, and she'd say watching the minutes, and she'd say, I'm terribly afraid all the time. And Jackie would say, you said you were going to call a cab. Something from that scene. You said you were going to call a cab.
You didn't borrow Laura's Mercedes.
No, I didn't borrow Laura's Mercedes.
Laura's Mercedes.
She's great at North by Northwest. I said
she
that
really
early on when we introduced her.
I think we even mentioned that she gives such a great performance that a character on screen says, "What a great performance!"
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And rather than saying, "Oh, well, you're right. We really should get out of here. This is not the place for us. I'll send you away."
Yeah. Well, she said, she says, I've tried so desperately to match your bravery.
Right.
Which is a great line, and he is emotionally affected by that.
Yeah.
He does want to do right by her, but he's a lying piece of shit.
Right.
So he can't. So it's guilt. Guilt is a big part of it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Like, the things that are upsetting to her would be greatly alleviated if he wasn't making Frankensteins in his spare time.
In his spare time. I mean, everybody needs a hobby.
Yeah.
But maybe look at something.
Pay attention to your wife occasionally.
Yeah.
And that's what we have here.
Yeah. You're going to send her and Peter away to Brussels. Follow in the morning. Or in the morning.
Well, you can get
follow.
You can get Belgian waffles out of the machine.
That's right.
That's it.
Yeah.
I learned about that on our podcast.
Perfect. I want to go to Brussels just to do that.
All right,
and then
it's
leave.
the Holiday Inn Express.
All right.
I'll find out where I was staying exactly.
Perfect. All right, and I'm just going to take a trip.
It really is one of my regrets.
Stay for an hour and have some vending machine waffles, and then fly right back.
It's something that I find interesting as I age. I didn't get a passport until I was like 37 or something.
Oh, really?
So I never really was a big travel guy, and then I got a job in an airline.
And then you have to
the first thing I did was learn the airport codes, and I learned about Japan, where the Japan airport codes were, the Asia in particular. And the reason was because we would sort of hand out assignments back then, almost willy-nilly. And I was like, well, I'll take that one. It's NRT, that's Narita. So before I knew it, I was the Asia guy, and I got to fly to Asia like 30 times.
Oh,
I've been to Japan.
I've never been, and I would love to go.
It's amazing, and as I say, one of my big regrets. I go to Brussels and I give myself less than a day to get my work done. Yeah. So my one meal I had in Belgium was out of a machine. Ugh. I guess I'm saying that's what I've learned is you can't. Oh, I don't know.
You can't always get. No.
You can't always get what you want. There you go.
You've been to Japan that many times. Did you ever try to get to Toho?
No.
See, that would be my first order of business. It's like, fuck my work. I'm going to take the Toho tour.
Yeah, that's interesting. One of the problems was Japan was. I worked for a company that used to be called Northwest Orient, and the way we did it was we started flying Minnesota to. I say we. I mean, this is back in probably maybe the 70s. Yeah. Started flying from Minnesota to Narita. So my time in Japan was always, well, maybe I got 2 or 3 things I got to do there, but basically I'm flying to China or I'm flying to somewhere else.
So it was like a hub?
It was like a hub.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I very rarely had a lot of time to do whatever the hell I want. And especially not in Tokyo. Because if I couldn't justify being in Tokyo, that's one of the more expensive places in the world.
I'm sure it is.
So getting a hotel room for the night in Tokyo, my boss is going to go, do you need to go to
Tokyo?
Tokyo?
You gotta go to Tokyo?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
He'll follow in a few days. It does get here's where it gets a little bit melodramatic. I've tried to match your bravery. Oh, my dear. And it's fine.
That.
It's fine. No, I do too, because it's a genuine human emotion, which we have not had much of in the movie.
Yeah. Well, and it's again that thing where this film, I always feel like maybe I'm overstating it because we're doing it minute by minute, but she really does ground him, and this is how she does it. She's very direct and says exactly what she's thinking and worried about, and he has nothing. All he has is, "Oh my dear," and kisses her on the forehead, which is very sweet.
It is. Yeah. You know, it's reminiscent of Colin Clive and May Clark to a degree.
Okay.
When they're in the bedroom prior to the monster breaking in and raping her.
Yeah.
When he locks her in. But they have that tender moment between the two of them.
Yeah.
Which is, immediately shattered, as this will be shortly. Because
this
she goes to bed with Peter. But
yeah. Yeah. Is this the last time we'll see this in the series? Ludwig Frankenstein.
He's a
bachelor.
A widower.
Is he a widower?
Well, because he has a daughter.
Okay.
Evelyn Ankers is his daughter.
And so therefore, he's a widower?
I assume he's a widower. Otherwise, he
didn't just kick her out?
Well, who knows? It is Sir Cedric Hardwicke, so who knows? You think Wolf
That's a really great name for him. Some people have the exact right name.
Yes, they do.
I'm going to just assume that's not his real name, and that one day he looked in the mirror and went, Cedric Hardwicke.
Well, he's Sir Cedric.
Even better.
Yeah.
Even better. Yes.
Let me just check.
He was very, very formal in the way he kicked his wife to the curb.
It's Sir Cedric Webster Hardwicke. It's his
Webster
name.
Undercuts it.
Yeah, it kind of takes a little bit of it.
Bad.
Yeah.
It's that terrible show or that terrible Monkees song.
Take your pick.
Yeah.
All right. And they clasp hands. He walks away, and I think most people would stay there a little longer with her, but it is a movie.
Well, he says, "There's a good girl."
There's a good girl. Oh, silly.
Yeah. Yes. What's great about it? He stands up to walk away because he thinks, this is fixed.
Is done. Yeah, it's all good.
It's all good now. It's all better.
Wipes his hands off on his
What's
robe.
also great, and again, after watching it minute by minute, I can't stop noticing this. He says, there's a good girl. And then he stands up, and before he's even maybe all the way up,
she's
already
bolting out of bed
for the edge of the blanket.
Yeah.
She's getting up to leave and not say a thing.
Yeah.
He's totally baffled. He's looking left and right like, wait, what?
Where are you going?
Where are you going?
Yeah.
And to her credit, her answer isn't... her answer is sort of in the tone of, well, since you asked, I'm going to go get Peter, but, fuck you. I don't owe you anything.
Yeah.
That's her response to this tender moment we've been talking about.
Well, I think she is, I don't know if she's placated, but she plays into it.
Placated is a good word.
A little bit, but I think she also sees through it enough that she's like, this is bullshit.
Yeah. I appreciate it, but
fuck you.
But this is what I'm going to do now.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're going to do. The only thing that would enhance it would be if she said, you're a liar, and then got up and walked out.
Yeah.
It's close to that, I think.
Yeah. I think it's probably not as close as you do, but
just the way it all takes place.
But the way she gets up, like, immediately.
Yes, that's why I think.
Where are you going? I'm leaving your fucking ass.
I'm going to Brussels. Fuck you.
I'm going back to America.
She doesn't look back. Mm-mm. She says, "I'll feel better having him in here with me rather than with that dopey Amelia, because there's trouble afoot. I don't trust her.
Troubles a brew."
More on that later.
And then here's an instance where somebody should have said cut about 30 seconds before they do, because she leaves the room. Wolf watches her leave. And then paces back and forth for a few more, 10 seconds, and it adds nothing. As you see her walking towards the door, the scene is done.
No, that's not true. So first of all, she doesn't look back at all at any point, which I love. I just want to throw that in there.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Then when he's walking back and forth, I was going to make a joke that he's thinking, well, I think that went pretty well. I think she bought it. Well, I think that went very well. I think she bought it. Went very... But it's more than that. It's a complication for him. He already mixed up in all this business. He's really in over his head, and it's not getting. And it's essentially gotten worse for him. This conversation that he started a minute ago by saying, "Oh, I don't know, dear. I don't know where he is. Fuck him." Whatever. He's completely lost it. She's completely unconvinced. She gives no impression that she's convinced by any of that.
Right. And
now she's walked out of the room without looking back. He's in worse trouble than he was before. So I feel like the pacing back and forth takes like 3 seconds.
It just seems awkwardly long, and like he's vamping till Lee says, "Oh yeah, cut."
Okay. Well, that's not how I read that. I read that as this has gotten worse. Now what the fuck am I going to do?
Yes, and I don't know. I don't read that from what he's doing.
Well, I mean it. I'm not saying that I'm inventing it.
No,
I
didn't get that from it.
Was you just thought he was just like waiting
for
literally
waiting for somebody to say cut, and they don't bother to cut.
He like looks at the camera. He's got
what?
Hands up.
Are we good?
Hair in the gate? Why are we still going?
Yeah.
You want me to do a little dance? Fuck are we doing
that
here?
I would love to see, actually. He paces back and forth and then starts to do a
little jig.
She leaves, but finally dissolved to Elsa and Peter. She's awake, staring with the troubled expression because she clearly doesn't buy any of this, and Peter's fast asleep. This is the best acting Donnie does in the entire, his entire career.
Could be.
Because he really convinces
He does
me.
look
He looks like he's asleep.
Yeah.
He really looks that way.
Actually, I believe it or not, we'll have more to say about that next week.
I think I do too.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that sound of people or whatever we're doing, the music, that theme song can only mean one thing.
Got any more questions, wise ass? Wait.
Oh, and the mortarboard.
Mortarboard's coming out.
Once again.
Here we go.
Come out, and here is, this one's a really good one. It's I can't believe I cut the name off. I'm pretty sure it's Tim Duncan. Somehow I cut the fucking name off. Okay, whatever.
All right. Well,
I gotta get better at this.
No, I kind of like this fumbling.
Fumbling is it's kind of the
so
fumbling.
Much fun to edit.
He says, I have a wise-ass question for you.
Perfect.
Yes. Seeing as you're both classic horror fanatics, does that translate to being Halloween fanatics as well? Do you make a big deal out of Halloween? Decorate the Belong Dead studios in faux Strickfaden Van de Graaff machines?
No.
Dress in costume as Ernest Thesiger? Eat pumpkin spice crepes, etc.? Or is it just another holiday to watch one more minute of Frankenstein movies?
Oh, good question. I do that stuff every day.
Yeah, that's true.
Minus the pumpkin spice, because I think that's evil. But
why do people hate pumpkin spice so much?
It's terrible.
Oh, you just don't like it?
I just don't like it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well, I can't help you there.
I mean, I like pumpkin pie,
yeah.
but that's actually pumpkin. It's not something
Well, that's why they call
flavored.
it pumpkin spice.
Yeah.
They're not trying to pretend it's pumpkin. Maybe they are.
They're failing if they are.
It's cinnamon. It's called cinnamon.
Basically, but it's just not something I enjoy. But truthful answer is, I mean, look around. It's pretty much decorated every day, at least in my office here.
Yeah.
And the family room is adorned with nothing but Karloff. So I used to, years ago, and this was all prior to 9/11, the 9/11, we used to decorate all the time, and I'd have lights and fog and music, and we get tons of trick-or-treaters, and 9/11 happened, and that year we didn't get one trick-or-treater.
Really?
And it never recovered.
Huh.
So I just stopped because it's like, well, this isn't worth it.
9/11.
Because apparently Osama bin Laden was hiding in the bushes, ready to pounce on innocent trick-or-treaters.
Actually, have you heard the latest bullshit? I'm sure you have.
Probably, but
Fox News or OAN or those crazy channels, they're talking nonstop about drug dealers. I guess I shouldn't soften it. No. Mexican drug dealers, as you'd expect them to call them out, are hiding fentanyl in your kid's candy.
Oh, well, of course, because that's a productive thing to do.
There's about 4 parts to this, but, well, first of all, the Mexican part, everybody gets what that's about.
Skip over that.
The drug dealer part is hilarious because drug dealers, as we all know, give drugs away. That's what they do. That's how they make their living, is
keep
by
in
giving
business.
Free.
Yeah.
The other one is there's also a fentanyl, it's almost like a conspiracy theory at this point.
Yeah.
The people think they can touch it and they get sick.
They get immediately
have a heart attack if you touch fentanyl.
Yeah.
All of that's in play here.
Sure.
I lived in, when my kids were trick-or-treating age, I lived in an area in Egan that had a really nice neighborhood to trick-or-treat in. I don't think you ever were over at that house. But the first time I ever took the kids trick-or-treating there, the first house gave me a beer. I was like, this is a nice neighborhood. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
I guess that's a thing. But now I live in a neighborhood where we don't even realize it's Halloween. I forget to turn the light off.
Oh, yeah.
But it doesn't matter because no kids are coming.
Well, you're very isolated in that
we're
little
out
pocket
in the woods,
there.
Yeah. You've been here a couple of years now, right?
This will be our second year. Last year we had a pretty good turnout. I didn't decorate because we had just moved in.
Yeah.
This year, well, we got a little inflatable Yoda out there. That's as far as I've gotten.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
That's more than we have.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that. Actually, if you come to our house right now, and maybe you've seen this, Jackie has the witch legs.
Oh,
that
right.
look like the legs from Wizard of Oz, and they're inside of a planter.
Yeah, last year.
Actually, she's got a few things now I think about. There's looks like a mouse's. I believe this is all by way of answering this question. There's like a mouse skeleton, or rat, probably skeleton, that kind of thing. But the one thing I would say is, I feel like October is always considered Halloween.
Horror month. Yeah.
Horror month, yeah. So all the channels pull out their stuff, and when we're in October, we're deep into it now, and I guess I don't have that anymore. I used to really make a point out of watching all the Frankenstein movies, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And now that's so much a part of me, maybe,
that
I don't even bother. So it is less.
Due to a little bit. I mean, John and I were talking, and we figure October's the start of watching old dark house kind of movies or that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And while he's in Carlsbad, California right now, and I'm here, it makes it a little difficult. We used to get together and do a very big thing about it. And for me personally, starting in 2002, I was hosting Horror Incorporated, so we were very busy for the following 3-4 years at Halloween. I always had something going on. So
you say at Halloween, was it a whole all of October thing, or was it just a Halloween thing in particular?
Depends. I mean, sometimes I'd show up at a Halloween thing or a haunted house, or just didn't have a whole lot of time to do a lot of that. And then when we stopped doing that, I went to Camp Snoopy as the visual supervisor, and we would do the whole month of October was Camp Spooky.
Cute.
And so, when I first started, I overhauled it completely because there were a pair of overalls stuffed with newspaper is not going to cut it in a worldwide destination like Camp Snoopy was. So through 2007, when the mall pissed it all down their legs, I was very, very busy with Halloween. And so I guess for the last 15 years, it's been not nearly as much. Yeah. But I still like to try to observe it in some way, watching films.
Yeah.
Like last night, I watched Mark of the Vampire and Dracula versus Frankenstein.
Yeah, but you would have done that anyway.
I probably would have done that anyway.
My thing is, I think every year I'm gonna convince Jackie to watch Halloween because it's just not her style of movie. But the other day she saw Jamie Lee Curtis probably doing some ad for Halloween, and she was just like, I love her. And I was like, yeah, well, fucking everybody loves her.
Yeah,
she's great. And so I think, well, maybe there is some space there. Because what I would hate to do is, I think everybody has this, but I would hate to have it be one of those situations where I show her something and she just fucking hates it. So like
animal crackers.
Yeah, that's probably the best example.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, she hated Dr. Strangelove. She hated.
Really?
Honestly, if you watch that movie, if you just sit down and watch it, a lot of it's really boring. It's a lot of shots of a plane flying over the land. That's a lot of it.
Yeah, I can't agree.
Yeah.
I don't agree at all.
The other one was Evil Dead 2. I got to the part where the blood comes smashing Bruce Campbell in the face with like fire hose intensity for 10 or 15 seconds or whatever. It's just or no, maybe it was even after that. I think it was after he'd cut his hand off. And I stopped the movie and said, do you want to keep going? She's like, no, I'm good. So I'm like, okay, well, there's limits.
I can see that because that film is sort of like an onslaught.
Yeah.
Because once it starts, it doesn't stop.
Right.
So I can maybe see that, but it is tempered with a very tongue-in-cheek sense of humor, which is why I think it works and the first one doesn't.
I agree. Yeah. Boy, is this a long answer. But I like what it kind of exposes in a way.
Interesting.
Which is, are we Halloween guys? And I guess, sadly, it sounds like we're not. But
I think we're Halloween guys year-round to a point.
Yeah, that's true.
Because, like you said, I would have watched those movies last night anyway.
Yeah.
Had it not been October.
Yeah. Had
it been, July and it was a beautiful night out, I would be sitting in my den watching these creaky old movies.
You know what I also am not is a horror fan. And I definitely was, at one point, I would just say, yes, I am a horror fan. But I think there's what's modern horror to me. Just like if someone says, watch this movie, it came out last year, I'm already like, no,
disinterested.
I don't think I want to do that.
Well, this brings up a conversation we had, was it just yesterday, day before, about that Terrifier 2?
Oh, yeah. I thought that was funny. I sent you that article with no comment. I'm bad about that.
No.
But your first response was that was the point.
Yeah.
When all I saw was the headline.
Yeah.
It said what, like Terrifier 2?
Making people vomit and
making
run
people
screaming from the theater, and they've had ambulances. I'm like,
we had the same thought.
That's nothing new. Lemley did that in 31.
Yeah. All right. That's
it.
You have one more. That's the end of. Got any more questions?
Good question though.
Yes.
All right.
Fade out.
Yes.
What a performance!